始まってしまいましたか。こんばんは。皆さんどうもこんばんは。君より夜空のゲーム配信の時間です。こんばんは。はいどうもこんばんは。ようこそいらっしゃいました。のんびりしていってくださいね。今日はね、先週、いやもっと前か、前回やっていたスタンリートラブルじゃない、スタンリートラブル、こいつはどうしてトラブルにするんだ。トラブルです。トラブルじゃない。もういいです。トラブル。とりあえずスタンリー
1ヶ月前ぐ
や
らい
っていきます。よろしくお願いします。いろいろ重なって毎回配信が延期になってしまっていたのですよね。ようやく続きができます。とは言ってもそんなにエンディングの個数と言いますか、残ってないんじゃないですかね。そんなに選択肢多かったっけな。ただいま起動中でございます。もうちょっと待ってください。よしよし。あれ、これ前回もあったけどな。毎回やらないといけないんですか。11分。10分か。これでよし。何ですか。待って待って。始める前にちょっと一言いいですか。ゲームを起動した時に2回ともちゃんと時計設定してくれてありがとうございます。サラダも。ほとんどの人はこのステップを真剣に捉えない。ふむふむ。私はそれに感謝している。よかった。この体験を大切にしてちゃんと注意を払ってくれているということだと思う。そうだよ。でも満足したら、めちゃくちゃ時間にして反応を見るけどね。わからんのかい。次に、このゲームを起動して、この画面が表示されたら、私の好きな一番、時間を設定していい。 なるほどね。私は字の神になれるということか。次の起動が楽しみになっちゃいますね。ああ、気になってるままだ。確か、前回のエンディングで2にして、まだ続いてるのか。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job
風
was
船
simple.
がある。
He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order.
これは同
This
じ
is
かな。
what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley
にし
relished
ても楽
every
な仕
moment
事
as
で
the
す。
orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
最初の1週間ぐらいを発狂し
And
そう
then
です
one
けど、
day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever
慣れて
change
しまえば、
Stanley. Something he would never quite forget.
これほど楽な
He
仕
had been
事
at
は
his
ない
desk
で
for
すよ
nearly
ね。
an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in
お
all
祝いの
his
風
years at
船
the
があちら
company
こちら
had
に。
this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very
これ
clearly
も
wrong.
前回の
Shocked,
プレイで
frozen solid, Stanley found himself
世界
unable
を
to
改
move
変
for
し
the
てしまっ
longest
たんですよ
time.
ね。
But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
もう動けるのか。こんな配線あったっけ。特に時間がいくてるわけじゃないんですよね。設定させられたけど。秒針は進んでるけど。分身も進むのか。ちょっと気になりますね。あと30秒。ちょっとだけお待ちください。はいどうもこんばんは。ようこそいらっしゃいました。のんびりしていってくださいね。お仕事は終わりですが、私は今からです。ちゃんとじわじわ進んでる気がする。ここでまさか笑う一日放置するという実績ないよな。
電車降りて帰宅途中です。
ありそうだな。このゲームだったら2中。歩きスマホは大変ですよ。まあ私がよくやっちゃうので強くは言えませんけど、弟にね。弟じゃないです。ほどほ
All
ど
of
に
his
ね。
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
時間が一気に進んでる。
あまり人がいないので大丈夫です。安心です。電柱に当
No
たるく
matter
ら
how
いです。
hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
私、歩きスマホだと、あれによく当たりますね。はいどうもこんばんは。ようこそいらっしゃいました。のんびりしてってください。なんというか、車が進入するのを禁止するゴールがあるじゃないですか。
電柱当たり仲間かよ。
普段は臭いと
When Stanley came to
鎖
a
で
set
つ
of
な
two
がれて
open
るやつ。
doors, he entered the door
臭い
and
じゃない
read.
です。あれによく激突してしまいますね。高さ、後に股間というかお腹を強打するんで。両開きドア、優秀。開かなくなった。って大変だったわ。
君さんは背が低いのです
月
ね。
刊品。せい。
Stanley stepped into
も
the
し
broom
かして
closet, but there was
あ
nothing
れ
here.
って
So
当た
he
らないん
turned
ですか？
around and got back
高
on
身
track.
長。なあ。
Coming to a
高
staircase,
身長は
Stanley
いい
walked
ぞ。
upstairs to his boss's office.
身長高い人に身長高くていいねって言ったら
Another miniature Stanley figurine. There really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
あと3つ。
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that.
背の
And in
高い
such a
人はね
competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had
背が
vanished.
高くてよ
His
かった
boss
と
would
思
think
う
he
と
was
きは
crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley.
高いところ
Maybe,
から物を
he
取
thought
る
to
とき
himself,
ぐらいです
maybe I am
って言うん
crazy.
ですけど
All of my
違
coworkers
うんだよ。
blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical
背が
sense.
低いこと
And
に
as
よるデ
Stanley
メリッ
pondered
ト
this,
が多
he
すぎて
began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his
それを
feet
回避
when
で
he
きて
looked
いるという
down?
ことに
Why
幸
did
せを
doors
かみ
close
しめてほし
automatically
い。
behind him wherever he went?
なん
And
か
for that matter,
ルー
these
プし
rooms
て
were
ない。
starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a
夢だ。
dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation.
明晰
His
夢。
co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing
はいどうも
buttons.
こんば
I
んは。
may
の
as
んび
well
りしてい
enjoy
ってく
this
だ
while
さい
I'm
ね。
still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to
先に言わ
gently
れた。
float above the ground.
君さんは背が高い
Then
方
he
がいいので
imagined
すね。
himself soaring through space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up.
ちょ
How
っと
was he
暗くない。
remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them
ダ
all
ブルピー
entered
スおじさん
Stanley's
なのだ。
head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams,
偽物
the
だ。
truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take
ダブルピー
responsibility
ス
for
おじ
himself?
さんという名を
Stanley
考えた
is
のは
as awake
私。
right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just...
コメント欄で名前を確認
He
する
would
まで
prove that he was
区
in
別がつかん
control,
かった。
that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he
そ
invited
れは
himself
それ
to
とし
wake
て
up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on
よう
his
こ
back,
そいらっしゃいました。
the fresh air of a world outside this
あ
one.
れ、
Let me wake up, he thought to himself.
ウ
I'm
ェイク
through with this dream.
アッ
I
プ。
wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal.
通信ドングル。
I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
本当に。
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
ちょっと怖い
And
んだけ
everything
ど。
went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day
ス
like
タンリー
any
は
other. She arose, got dressed,
Stanley.
gathered her belongings, and
Doko.
walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few
死んだ。
brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this
Stanley
man
の
made
死
her
によ
feel
って
better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important
この
people
ことはある意味
whose impressions of
幸せ
her
を
would
感
affect
じ
her
ることが
career,
できた
and
と。
by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
せめて救急車呼んでくれ。帰ってきた。また11時20分から。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
こんなのあったっけ？あったか。
When
こんな
Stanley
のあっ
turned to
た
a
っけ？
set of two open
っ
doors,
ていう違和
he
感
entered
が
the
出て
door
く
on
る
his
よう
right.
な気がしましたね。間違い探しゲームのやりすぎかもしれません。 フィギュアの謎について
Coming to a
討論
staircase,
されていた。
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
ここから先は発生あるかな。あ、いた。前は開かなかったんですけど。
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by one? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
集めても何もないって分かってたのね。若手にいたとしても、分かっていたとしても、楽しいんですよ。前は全然開かなかった扉だったと思うんですけど。開きますね。お邪魔します。
マイナメイエス
下に割ります。ダブルピースおじさんだ。よしよし。なんだこのご機嫌な BGM。私、エレベーターの中では静かに。体にかかる重力加速度がなんか変化する。あの感じ、あれを味わっていないんですよね。味わっていたい。いつまで乗るの？これ押してくれ。進んでないじゃん。何なの？じゃあ、上。同じ曲だ。同じとこじゃねえか。今のガタンガタンみたいな揺れ、何だった？
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
あ、やべ。
Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in
パスワー
disbelief
ド忘れ
who
た。
orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
そうか。出られないし。 このパスワ
Stanley
ードを
just
打ち
sat
込ま
around
ない
twiddling his thumbs.
作戦
Trying
は
to input anything
いや
on the device was useless,
一
since
回
he
やっ
could
た
never
な。
possibly know that the combination was 2845. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input
Okay.
the correct code
Okay.
by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
.ここから先はルートの派生はあるのかな。上に行きたい。あれ、畜生。強制的に下だ。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more
来と
free
る
to
とは言っ
think for
てしまい
himself,
ましたか
to
らね。
question the nature of his
一
job.
回
Why did he feel this
通
now?
常ルー
When
ト。
私は
for
君
years
よ
it
夜空
had
のダ
never
ブルピ
occurred
ースを
to
見
him.
ると快感
This
を感じ
question
ます。
would not
お
go
土産。
unanswered for long.
怖い。ちょっと待って。なんかマウスが映るようになったな。これは何でだ。ちょっと操作を間違えました。失礼しました。マウスが映るようになっちゃった。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
戻り
Mind
ました。
Control Facility.
あれ、こっち行ったっけ。
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
死ぬの。死ぬって言われたんだけど。まあ、そ
The
れ
door
はそれ
behind him
と
was
して
not shut.
行くしかない。
Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point,
返す
Stanley
よ
was
うに
making a
促して
conscious,
くる。
concerted effort to walk forward and willingly
こう
confront
疲
his
れた
death.
か。
シンプルに怖い。行きます。ここ
As
を
the machine whirred into
勝手に
motion
動
and
く。
Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story. Trapped forever in his
東
narrow
方
vision
高
of
級の
what
お
this
仕
life
置き。
is.
じゃんこれ。
Perhaps his death was of no
超
great
高校
loss,
級の
like
やつ。
plucking the eyeballs from
い
a
たよ。
blind man.
これ、
So he
こ
resigned
のクマ
and
がやって
willingly
た。
accepted this violent end to his brief and
すいま
shallow
せん。
life. Farewell, Stanley.
許して。バイバイ、お母さん。
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
ナレーターが女性に変わって、嘘のナレーションを流して、私が助かっている。
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
資料、部屋、マップだ。これが私の部屋でしょ。最初の洗濯の部屋だ。いろいろ考えて作られてるなら。
今夜空。
はいどうも。こんばんは。ようこそいらっしゃいました。のんびりしていってくださいね。キーボードの音。飛ぶ棚。そんなに飛んでる感じしないけど。節電。自己紹介。スタンリー、トラブルの資料館みたいな感じか。アクションゲーム。却下されちゃったのか。エイリアンと銃撃戦してみたかったけどな。ふむふむ。早すぎて読めんわ。まあ、遅かったらやめるというわけでもないですけど。 るほどなるほど。
あのね、夜空ちゃん、やっぱりなんでもないのだ。
何ですか？まったく。なんか、ポータル、みたいな空間ですね、あれ。トレーラームービー、かな。
気になる。
これなんかいろいろ、ネタバレ、されてるような気もするな。トヨタ、めちゃくちゃ広い。トヨタじゃない。
100均でね、万年筆があったから買った。
万年筆はダメだぞ。100均のやつはダメです。でも、ダメなのは、実用性の話であって、万年筆はいい。かっこいいですもんね。
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
いいにゅ。
いいのかな。いろんな頑張りがあって、この世界ができてるんだよ。こんなにたくさんの試行錯誤があって、この世界ができてるんだ。さらばだ。
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me.
この
You can
人は
still
誰
save
なんだ
these
ろ
two.
う。
You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let
死んだ。ちょっと、ホラーでした。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
いつも
memo.
ナレーターさんだ。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its
逆
purpose
から入れ
be?
てみるか。
In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay
ダメで
buried
した。
below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it, and Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
そんなこと言ってないです。お話しする途中に暗証番号を入れたから。
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
ちょっと怒らしちゃったな。やっぱり強制的に慕われる。絶対上司化をしてないのに。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
そういえば最後のところで
The lights rose on an
キスじゃない。
enormous room packed with
ボタンを
television
押したこと
screens.
あったっけ。
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley
それ
thought
も
to
ダメ
himself.
さ。
Did he have the strength to
試し
find
ましょ
out?
う。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
あれは何だろう。バグってるだけかな。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
OK。 さらに電源オン。
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then die. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Shunkan 名字にリアルな。やけにリアルな感じで嫌ですね。
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
見ちゃったんじゃないですかね。
Yes, truly
どう
a
だろ
room
う。
worth admiring. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
.元堂に戻っちゃった。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
.どこでもキーボードをカチャカチャする。音は出せる。
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad, Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway.
あの何冊をスーピル部だ。
スキップしてくれた。
Whoops. Nope.
帰れるじゃん。
Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out.
エレベーターに乗って。
何の文章かわかる。
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator.
逆回転。
It's still just exactly
ダメだぞ。
what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my
かかっ
seat.
てくる。 出られないじゃん。
ラゾより読みき。
せっかく戻ってきたから。ちゃんとボイスを用意してありましたけど、エンディングの分岐はない
Now
の
he's
か
getting
な。
back into the elevator and going down again. Ladies and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this? Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
ナレーターさんがどんどん付き合ってくれる。
Oh my god. It's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this.
いいよ。
Okay, I'm ready. I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No! No, wait! No! I need more time to process.
もっとですか。どういうおもちゃでしたっけこれ。水の緑的なやつ。水を飲む鳥。
Alright. I have fully come to terms with it. I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley.
お任せください。まずは下に降ります。
Of course. Going back down in the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even
立って降りられるんだもん。
That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
いいぞいいぞ。ちょっと待ってね。またマウスが映り込んでる。治ったわ。
I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize?
はいはい。
It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice and slow? There we go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible. They want big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience? The slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters.
1話から面白いことがとても重要されてますよね。
And to anticipate, and then to marvel at the eventual reveal. This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years, and it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to feel. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley. Because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why... Oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you, so that you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better.
この人が何の話してんの？聞いてなかった。記者会見がどうのこうの言ってた気がする。
Okay, the room where we're holding the press conference should be just around the corner here somewhere.
いいだろう。 私の演説を聞かせてやりますよ。
Ah, yes. Here
ス
it
ターリ
is.
ン
Just through this
もびっ
door.
くり。
All right. Are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative.
楽屋だ。
Don't worry. You'll do great. Just be yourself
な
and
んか
speak
眩
from the
しい
heart.
な。
I'm really proud of you, Stanley. Okay. It looks like they're ready for you. Go get them.
任しといてくださいよ。はい。どうも皆さんこんばんは。君より夜空です。間違えた。サンデーです。スタンリーです。あれ。ここからですか？なんか違くない。なんか違うな。作りが違う。ここにはオフィスがあったはずだ。もっと先にあるはずのバケツもここに来てる。短縮されている。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
もしかして集会してるから短くしてく
This
れ
was
てんの。
not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
優しさが。
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you forgot. Really?
もう一
I
回
was
こ
in
っ
the
ち
middle
行
of
こう。
something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. You're getting close now, Stanley.
Why?
You've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anlarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anlarines. None of us can. 確かここで魚続けたんですよね。逆らい続けた。 Oh,
Sawat
thank God
te
you
agero
are
ka.
willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution.
閉じ込められました。
Let me show you. What do we want? What are we looking for? Here.
いや、
Oh,
こ
it's
こ一回来たっ
beautiful,
け。
isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel...
何か見たことあるようなないよな。
I actually feel happy.
でもすごい綺麗。ふわふわです。ふわふわ。いいね。悪くない。パソコンのスクリーンセーバーにちょうどいいぐらいでしょうか。おい。まだある。これはなんかしょぼいですね。もっと爆発というか火花を散らしてほしい。もういいや。
No, wait. Where are you going?
何ですか？
Right. Where were we?
赤が主なって。はいはい。綺麗っちゃ綺麗。パソコンのスクリーンセーバーにいい感じですね。もういいかな。
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
じゃあもうちょっとあの部屋は面白くしてください。
Good,
同じや。
good. We can't be too safe. Promise me you won't go back there. Just stay here.
ほら見たよ。これ。ちゃんとパターンを50種類ぐらい用意して。2個から3つ。ランダムで組み合わせるような流れにすれば。私も退屈したいのに。これは、ナレーター側の怠慢ですよ。
What did we talk about? You're risking everything we achieved here. You heard me before, didn't you? You will die.
私は
What
悪
about
く
this
ない。
isn't getting through to you?
もう行かなければならない。試合を楽しんでほしい。
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
気をつけていってらっしゃい。
No!
よいしょ。
Oh, thank God you lived. You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we
案
please
外
get
大
back
丈
to the
夫で
other
すね。
room?
ちょっと、足が遅くなったかな。
There. See? This is what you want. This is where we can both be happy. We really can. If we stop moving, we just have to stop moving.
ずっとこれだわ。
Stanley, go back. There's nothing good that can come from this.
進歩がない。映像。
No.
なんて。
No, what are you doing? Do you just not believe me? What can I say to convince you?
もう飽きたんですよ。あの部屋には。
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you... My God, is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You were literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
登場はするけど。
Or maybe you're
それは
just
そ
getting
れ。
a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
何ですか？
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
もっとかわいそう。
All of his co-workers were
元
gone.
に戻っ
What
た。
could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
さっきのショートカット。ルートは
When
レアだっ
Stanley
た
came
の
to
か
a
な。
set of two open doors. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've
さ
gotten
ん
off
を
on
い
the
じり
wrong
回し
foot
たいけど、
here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not.
ナレーター
I
さんを
realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you.
どこにあるじゃん、あんなところに。
There's someone you've been neglecting,
最後の一個が。
someone you've forgotten about. Please,
はい、どうもこ
stop
んばん
trying to
は。
make every decision
よ
by
うこそ
yourself.
いらっしゃいまし
I'm
た。
not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
ちょっと戻りたい。戻してくれ。畜生。フィギュアなるのに。
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside.
次に
To
鶏
let
肉
her
を。
back into your life. She's
取りに
been
行くよ。
waiting.
鶏肉はいら
That's
な
so,
い。
Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach... Oh, no, no, no,
よ
no,
い
you
しょ。
can't... Did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see...
ちょっと待って。
No, that's not possible. I can't believe it.
OK。
How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley.
矢印が出たときは。
I can't believe I was so
一
mistaken.
回
This is why you've been able to
メ
make
ニューを
correct
開け
and
ば
incorrect choices. And to
矢
think I've been
印が
letting you
消え
run
てくれ
around
る
in
んで
this
すけ
game
ど
for so long.
メニュー
If
画
you
面
made
が
any
怖
more
い
wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
このルート
It's the best
やっ
part
た
of
気が
being
す
a
るな
real person.
やったやった
But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8
この
choices
謎の
per
イラ
day.
スト
Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction.
やべ
But
え
not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
ここから加入できる保険はありますか
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as
やります
possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well
飛
equipped
び
to
降りが
deal
防
with
止されて
reality.
しまっているここに板があったのに登るためのやつなくなってるしというかフィギュアもなくなってる従うしかないか
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world. Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right.
従ってい
When
ますか
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors,
従
he
って
entered
みま
the
しょ
door
う
on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
封鎖されている
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
115言ったよ。
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
犬になってしまわれたか。
I'm sorry, is there a problem?
このスタ
You
ン
didn't
リ
mishear
ー、
me, did you?
声、
Please speak the code
Can
into
I?
the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
あなたが悪いんだよ。
Okay, fine. You're not gonna do it, but you know what?
違
It's
う
pretty
よ。
humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single
言えないん
thing
だ
for
よ。
your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first.
戻された。
I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
あれ、マイクに声を入れる方法あるんでしょうか。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on
どう
his
いうこ
left.
と？私は間違った。ルートには行ってないぞ。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
なぞりセット。
behave exactly as Stanley would. That means
なんで？
choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right.
なんか、
When
ゾワ
Stanley
ゾワ
came
す
to a
る。
set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
ちょっとお待ちください。ここで選ばないという選択肢はあるのだろうか。待ってみましょう。
問題はどれぐらい待てばいいかということですな。
確かに。何もわからない。 どうすればよいだ。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine.
ルートなんだ。ツンデレじゃないです。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
違う。ルートが積んでいる。こっちはもうボイスレコーダーしかなくて。スタンリーが声が出せないから。ナレーターが怒ってリセットするルートしかないんだ。でも、
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other
そうだよ
direction.
ね。
Perhaps we're not too late.
ゲームが破綻されるとしかない。
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe after everything we talked about that you...
なん
My
でだよ。
story. You've destroyed my work. Why? For what?
私はちゃんと
What did
従
you get
お
out
う
of
とし
that?
たのに。
What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone? Left here like so much garbage. It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge.
良くも
I'll have to
悪
live
く
with
も
it forever.
ナレーター
Reliving its
さんが
impossibility forever.
人間なんで
I
すよ
couldn't
ね。
live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to.
残
I
念な
have
こと
to.
にね。
そうなんです。すごく人間的なエラーを出す。
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it.
そのことは
I tried
今
so
私
hard
の
to
せいにしようとしてるけど、
When Stanley came to a set of two
責任の一端が自分にもあったことを気づけない。
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please.
前も見たやつですね。
to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me?
私も好きあらば他人のせいにしていますわ。
Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you.
押し解けられるやつは押し解けていきましょう。
Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever
でも
you do. I simply need
自
you to
分の
take
成
that
長
step
につな
forward.
がるものなら受け入れるのもたまにはいいかもしれません。
This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? You listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
このエンディングは何か来るものがありますね。ナレーターさんが本当に悲しそうなのがかわいそう。はい。
Good morning. Thank you
も
for
しもし。
contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct?
My name is 君やる予定だから。挨拶に失敗したわ。
Understood. Your order will be canceled immediately. Thank you again for contacting the Future Happiness Foundation.
ああ。ペパロニピザ、ワンピース。プリーズ。電話、切れてる。
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort
たまには
rushed over him.
バケツを持っていくか。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. これを持ってることで何か変わ Stanley
る
and the
かな。
bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
トイレの水をくれませんか。
18種類ぐらいエンディングあるんすね、このゲーム。
そんなにあるのか。普通にやったら見つからないようなやつとかもありそうですね。この曲ずっと流してほしい。まあそれはそれとして、バケツを持っても特に変わらないかもしれないな。
Office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
ちょっとだけバケツの話が入るんだよな。
The elevator raced downward.
自分が今どのエンディングを達成したのか、
It
リ
would
ス
be
ト
all
が見たい
Stanley
で
could
す
do
ね。
to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine. Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind
小さい
Control
このバ
Facility.
ケツ時にもなるし、
Although this passageway had the
時に
word
もなって
escape
くれる
on
し、
it, the truth was that at
盾
the
にも
end
な
of
る
this
よな。
hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death.
吹き返してみるか。
But of course, Stanley and the bucket thought better of it and realized they simply had too much to live for. Nope, it's death for Stanley and the bucket.
何も言ってくれなくなった。
The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them.
ナレーターが変わっちゃう。エンドにバケツを連れて行ったらどうなる？バケツ、カード。大丈夫。私にはバケツがあ
As
る
the
よ。
machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
今までありがとう。バケツ。
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a
こ
single
っちの
visceral
ナレーター
instant,
をバケツに
the
ついてい
bucket's
って
life
くれ
came
る。
to an end, as it was crushed violently to death.
なんならバケツがメインの話になってる。
It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one
Stanley の
stood
話して
above
く
the
れよ。
rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold.
待って。さっき言った時はこのゲームの展示会以上だったじゃん。バケツ展示会場になってる。
Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is
哲学。
far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life?
いや、絶対25個じゃないし、100個超えてるでしょ。すごいな。
メガ
ナレーターさんの話が変わればいいかな、ぐらいの気持ちだったんですけど。まさか展示会場になってしまった。誰もバケツを支配できない。そうか。哲学。よく見たら私のバケツがない。私のバケツはどこ？人類誕生より前に知られていた。もしかして企業支配とか、ああいうものの起源って元素？元祖ってもしかして バケツ。なるほどね。
No man can own a bucket,
教
and
科書。
certainly not a bucket as
抱えな
dazzling
い
to
といけ
behold
ない。
as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket. But there is
私のバ
something
ケ
we
ツ。
can do, something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment as tools and implements if only we let Stanley die together. The bucket shall take his place as ruler, as leader, as commander of a new world, a new vision.
許せ。許せ。潰せれる音に。バケツのガシャンって音が混じってた。細かすぎだろ。ふぅ。
All of his
帰ってき
co-workers
た
were...
ぜ。
Wait, no. This isn't the right office, is it? Is this Stanley's office?
おやー。ナレーションが違う。
おかえりだぜ。
なんだこれ。こんな画面なかったよな。一個ボタンが進んでいる。なんだ。急に謎解きが始まった。もう押せない。何なんだ。気になる。絶対に何かあるはずなのに。
メロスにはボタン判定がわからぬ。
だいぶわかりづらい。ボタン判定なんですよね。ここに行くとさすがに終わっちゃうよな。何もないのか。
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment. Oh, please.
ナレーター
Are
さ
you
ん
really
が
just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks.
実績のためにやってると
You want to click the
思わ
door
れてる。
20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition.
20回。何ももらえないぞ。嘘つき。言われちゃった。上によれてしまう。
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along. He then praised the game for its insightful and witty commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think? Isn't this a fun and unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all
思っ
in?
たり。狭い空
Okay,
間
I'm
だ
over
な。
it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag yet? Ah, then in that case we'll continue. But now, here comes the real question. What do you think would have happened if you had told me that you wanted this to stop? Do you think it would have been particularly different? Would I have taken the same idea but rephrased it superficially to fit that answer? Perhaps you never would even have thought of it if I hadn't brought up the issue in the first place. Oh, now think about it. Will it be worth it for you to restart and then come back here just to do the other option? Clearly, this whole gag takes some time. What if the other option is even longer? How long will you spend in total just to have heard all the narration?
読まれ
Oh,
てい
and
る。
this is rich. Perhaps you've just played the other option, and now you've come to see what happens in this one. So, what do you think? Which choice was the better one? Imagine if you had selected continue on your first playthrough, how tantalizing it would be not knowing what happens when you pick the other option. Indeed, you are one of the lucky ones. Though if the other option is really miserable to listen to, then perhaps you're not. In fact, I'm just going to say that no one who's listening to this is lucky. Well now, I've built up the other option so much that I'm going to stop talking and leave you to your decision whether to come back here, continue with the game, or just sit in this spot forever and ever. Cheers.
お疲れ様です。
また変なゲームしてる。
押せない。はいどうもこんばんは。ようこそいらっしゃいました。まめにしていってくださいね。にしていって。肝心なところは言えない。
どうもこんばんは。
のんびりしていってください。もう済まないのかな。もう、進まない。しょうがないな。しょうがない。あれ。おい。終わらないぞ。させてくれ。助けて。これ、リセットするしかないの。自分で。
All of his
なんて
co-workers
残
were
酷な。
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ついてすらいない。やっぱりランダムで表示されるやつなんだ。
これは
今度はここにある。さっきはここだった。移動する。リセットすると移
No
動す
matter
る。
how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
サップと同じように。どれが条件かわからないから。全部とパソコンの電気を消して。リセットは。これ進んでるんじゃない。電話。はい。
Good morning.
もし
Thank you
も
for
し。
contacting the Future Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,327 cardboard boxes to your place of work. Can you verify that this is correct?
ラーメンの配達を頼みたいんですけど。
Your order will be canceled immediately. Thank you again for contacting the
今ま
Future
で頼
Happiness
んだこと
Foundation.
なくて。あれ持ってくる。途中で伸びたりしないんですかね。電話切れてるわ。畜生。
確かに伸びそう。
どこにもないぞ。あれ。今までは部屋から出たらここ閉まってなかったっけ。違ったっけか。そしてパソコンがない。レイのパソコンはなんでだろう。何か条件を満たさなかったのかな。などじゃダメだった。
なんでだろう。なんでだろう。
ただのリスタートでは
なんでだろう。
もう一回外に出てみるか。
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was part of the game's design all along.
今
He
度
then
は
praised the game for its
はいを
insightful
読んで
and
み
witty
よう。
commentary into the nature of video game structure and its examination of structural narrative tropes. So, now that you're here, what do you think?
すぐグリッチ
Isn't this
し
a
ようと
fun
す
and
る。
unique place to be? Why don't we take a minute just to drink it all in? Okay, I'm over it now. What do you think? Are you sick of this gag
さ
here?
っきはこれで。パソコンの画
Well,
面
I
が
don't know how
進
to
み
say
ま
this
したから
politely,
ね。
but you could literally just hit escape and restart the game any old time you want, like right now. You could have done it just then. Now would also be an appropriate time to quit. any of these points and so many, many more, all of them are appropriate. I'm enjoying what seems to be an internal conflict going on where you are literally unable to act on your own desires to restart the game. So, just to push the envelope, I'm going to try and make this as miserable as possible and see how long you can
リスター
maintain.
トしろって怒られてる。
There once was a man named Stanley, who people considered so manly. But the truth must be told, he was not very old and was quite particularly gangly. What Stanley
何か
liked
語
most
り出
was
したぞ。
buttons. He pushed them like some kind of glutton. He did it all day in a meaningful way, but his brain
ボ
had
タン押すの楽しいですよね。
which is why he is in this parable and lives an existence quite terrible. And if you are not strong and keep playing along,
SWITCH
you too
とか好きで
will
す。
become
上
quite
限にカチ
unbearable.
カチするやつ。
You too will become quite unbearable.
この話長いな。もしかして。言った瞬間、終わったんだけど。刀し、仕方ない。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
雨降ってない。雨降ってる。
形がないから刀し。
音する。ちょっと出てみるか。でも一回、パソコン、見てから。ないな。
サザン。
やっぱり、雨の音がする。わい。私湯に濡れるの大好き。これ、地味に難しいぞ。OK。
At first, Stanley assumed he'd broken the map until he heard this narration and realized it was
すと、雨降ってない。
珍しい人だ。
Hi, Stanley.
はい。
Just wanted to leave you a
も
message
し
to
も
let
し。
you know there's a few things I need you to pick up on your way home from work today. We need milk, cereal, dish soap, spaghetti, get a thing of sugar, some bread, and coffee beans, whichever ones you like.
カラオケの一
I'll give
人
you a call if there's anything I
ル
forgot.
ーム
Thanks, sweetie.
空
See
い
you
て
tonight.
ますか？コンデンサーマイクとヘッドホンがある部屋がいいです。あと、ジョイサウンドでお願いします。記念で。なんか、電話切れるの早くなった。最初はもっと話してたと思うんですけど。待てよ。パソコンって別にここだけじゃないの。ここだけじゃないから。こっちの部屋にもゲームしてるしね。スタンリーのフィギュアみたいに。
when Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered. This was not
別の
the
ルー
correct
トで
way
も
to the
進
meeting
んでる
room,
や
and
つなの
Stanley
か
knew
も
it
しれ
perfectly
ん。
well. Perhaps he wanted to stop
あの
by the
パソコ
employee
ン。
lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room,
探し
Stanley
回ら
for
な
the
きゃ。
first time, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
こにはないか。
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
ここにもない。も
Coming to
う
a staircase,
パソ
Stanley
コン
walked upstairs
な
to
かっ
his
たっ
boss's
け。
office.
上司の部屋は。やっぱり進んでる。なんだ。暗い。怖いよ。何？
よかったね。
何も見えない。動いた。
暗いよ、怖いよ。
開いてる。なんで？何が起
Here's
きて
the
いるん
door.
だ。
Just go.
ポラリセットしていいのかな。わかんない。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
ここにもパソコンがあった気がする。
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
パソコンじゃないわ。
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true
パ
nature
ソコンの
revealed.
ない生
Each
活
bore the
考
number
えら
of
れ
an
ますか？
employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers.
やだ。
The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant
パソ
nothing.
コン。お前は死んでなかった気がするな。
めっちゃシンプルに
This
お答え
mind
しま
変わ
した
っ
control
てますね。
facility, it was too
結構。
horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions
今のは
had been
たまたまです。
manipulated to accept it blindly?
パソコンのない生活か。
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in
それに
someone
代わる
else's
端末があれば
control.
別にいい
Never.
ですけ
It
ど。
was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
例えばあと100年ぐらい
But here
先に
was
生
the
まれ
proof,
て
the heart of the
サン
operation.
グラス型
Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking,
もう存分に
eating,
普及
working,
してれた。
all of it monitored and commanded from this
ならば
very place. And as the cold reality of his past
それで
began
満
to
足
sink
で
in,
きるかな。
Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
ここにはパソコンないけど最後のコントロール室にはある。ちょっと覚えておきましょう。もしかしたら最後の最後にここに表示されるかもしれませんね。 コード。とりあえずここにはもう及ばない用がない。こんな
Even now,
隠し要
Stanley's
素が
office
あ
is
る
a
んだ。
distant memory.
隠し要
What
素
did it look like?
とい
It
う
was
か
a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
もういいのかな。やっぱり閉まってる。
基本隠
さっ
れてば
き開きっ
かりじゃん。
ぱなしだっ
この
たの。
ゲーム。
何だったんだ。そういえばそうだった。もうサチいいか。次で最後のはずだ。よいしょ。天国。何これ。何。SWITCH お支払いの天国だ。スイッチを正面。ボタン押し放題。やったぞ。ああ、目がおかしくなる。皆さん、すいません。これは目がおかしくなるやつだ。戻った。一定時間で戻るの。これ、嘘でしょ。出られないじゃん。
マーブルチョコがうにょうにょと。何の音なんじゃ。
どうすればいいんだ。あ、確かにそれはありそう。緑でも輝いてる緑と
わかんない。
普通のみたいがあるんですよね。青色にも輝いてるやつとそうじゃないやつが。輝いてるやつだけ押すとか。どうかな。踊るわ。
狂っちまうぜ。
一個しかない色か。間違い探しなら得意です。
間違いしかない場合はどうですか？なんか音が関係あるんかな？どれが一つがスピーカーでそれを押すとか。
なるほど。
だから周期的に音が大きくなったり小さくなったりしてる。
そうなるとこうやって前後すると左右の音がすごく崩れると思うんですけど、少なくとも私の耳では感じ取れませんね。こうやって回すと両耳揺さぶられるはずですけど、これなんだ。もうここに来た時点で次なのか隅なのかな。天国へようこそって言われたもんな。天国から次どこに行くかって言われたらないもんな。
リスタートかな？
リスタートするしかないか。まあもう天国への生き方は分かりましたし、自身分も満足でしょう。さらばここで溜まっている。また行けるの？わーい。ボタン天国だ。もうええわ。目が悪くなっちゃい
All
ま
of
す。
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors,
で
he
も
entered.
ちょっ
This
と
was
気に
not
な
the
りま
correct
す
way
ね。
to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the
ボ
employee
タン
lounge first,
天国
just
か
to
ら
admire it.
さらに
Stanley
次
felt
に進め
lightheaded,
ることってで
butterflies
き
in
る
his
のでしょう
stomach.
か。
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
とりあえずこっちの
Stanley was so bad at
最後
following
のフィギュアを
directions,
回
it's
収す
incredible he
る。
wasn't fired years ago.
ここから行けるんちゃう？行ける。
And there it is, the last Stigley
Yay.
Whitney. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own
な
reward.
かなか
I would tell you that
達成
I'm
感
proud
あ
of
り
you
ま
for
すね。
collecting them all, but that would be
そう
like
で
a
すね。
reward, and we can't have that.
例える
So,
なら
instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done
お
here.
茶碗に
And
ご
now we
飯を
can
持
go
っ
to
て
whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for
ご飯を食べ
vitamins.
た後 ちょっとだけお茶にこびりついてるペイたちをお箸で一つずつつまんで最後の一粒まできれいに食べたとき、あれと同じぐらいの達成感です。ここは何？こんなところ来たことあったっけ
？That it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so
ナレ
far
ー
off
ターが壊れた。
that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so
テ
far
ー
off
プ
the
が
beaten
再生されてる。
that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun from so far off. You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
「元に戻っちゃった」あれ、違う。風船もない。これは何かのルートの最中だ。
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines.
ちょっと。
Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner
いいじゃない
richness?
ですか。
Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but when you
これ
please
違和感が
indulge
渋
me
滞
with
して
one
いる
の
状
や
more
つ
態は
ですね。
直接的に日常的
I
では
would
ない
love
だろう
nothing
か。
more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
ゲーム変わったわ。一回来ましたね。別のルートの時。
アーク感。
確かに来たはず。でもあの時はこっち。道なんてあったっけ？正面の道。行けなくなってるし。
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for
ああ、
certain?
そうだ。
We were so
ここ
innocent.
でフィギュア
We'll never be like
ゲ
that
ット
again,
したん
Stanley.
だ。
走馬灯か。
戻れなくなった。
ビビってる。へいへいへい。
フィギュア。
And here was the second Stanley. You found this one all on your own just by poking around behind the boss's office. You did that, Stanley. I'll be honest, back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
追加で取れる。
Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini stand? Can you remember?
3つ目はね、こっち。
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here, under the stairs. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them.
すごいね。
I'm glad these
私が
moments
取
are
っ
so
た順番ま
crystal
で
clear
記
in your
録
memory,
され
but
て
I
るんだ。
shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything.
そうなの。あれ。
Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
こんなの知らないよ。まあ、もらっとくか。存在しない曲。
This was the 5th mini stand, and this one was really something special. It was by the red and blue doors. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
動画。いらんいらんいらん。どうでもいいのよ。このフィギュアの動画とか。しかも小鳥が仮にちょっと回収しただけな記憶あるし、ちょっとだけ回収してすぐ行ったよ。いやーしょぼい。しょぼいぬ。
入り乱れるクソ記憶。
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot
青
of
年
time
で
making
依
that
頼した
video,
結
but it
婚
was
式の
8
記念
minutes
ム
I
ービー
wouldn't
の
have
方
spent
が
on
もっともっ
anything
と
else.
だしマシです。
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here in the warehouse. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other. Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
先にも進めない。あ、開いた。
And then
私の視界が映っている。
because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
不思議なエンディングでした。
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen.
No,
Is
no,
there
no,
some way we
no,
can
no,
stay
no.
here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
まだやるんですか？
This spot in the warehouse. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and
音
clear
の
in my
作業が
mind.
内
Let's
容
keep
を
going.
す
I
ぎる
want
せで
more.
お腹も同じお茶のパックで3回だし
And
撮っ
here's
て
where
る
I
み
made
たいに
that
なって
video.
る
Don't you remember the video we watched?
足は薄すぎるよそれそれ
Yes, I love
それ
that
はもうい
video.
い私は嫌いだよ
わらわら
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley.
こんな場
Still
所
no memory of this one.
マジで
Good
知ら
room,
ない
though.
し
A solid room.
もっと別の場所じゃなかっ
These
た
really were a treat
ああいい
one
けど
time.
さ
You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the
初め
temptation.
ている場所で
Next
す
one.
そうだよあのピンクの部屋じゃなくて私はトイレで1個回収してるんだもう行けないなんでピンクのお部屋になっちゃったんだろう
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
もう何もないよすべてはコンプリートした
Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on.
ああり
I
ました
remember
ね
hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it now. Look how much fun the past is. I want more. More
もうジャンプ
memories.
回数残ってないからジャンプできないわ
Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic
ナレーター
memory,
さん
this
が
one.
バイコクリアになってしまっている
And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything
昔の
else?
記憶
Was
に
there
だけ
something
す
that
がり
came
つく
before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember. I can remember.
解雇中ナレーター
Yes, I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions.
勝手
I
に
was
動き出した
passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me.
エンド
He
ロー
would
ル
make
か
the decisions, he would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself
なん
again.
だ
I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, How about one more good memory? Let's
この
go
ムー
back
ビ
just
ー
once.
よ
And
く
give
見たら
Stanley
巻き
one
戻
more
しだ。
run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good.
逆再生。
I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story
私とは
of a man named Stanley.
スタンリーとは、ナレーターとは一体何なんだ。また天国に行ける。
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
前のルー
Yet
ト
there
も
was not
続
a
きなの
single
かな。
person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief,
いや、
Stanley
なんか
decided
普
to
通
go
のル
up
ー
to
トな
his
気が
boss's
する。
office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Here's the door, just go.
やっぱり普通ですね。戻ろう。さっきのルートで終わりなんだ。多分。は
Good
い。
morning. Thank you for
もしもし
contacting the Future
パパよ。
Happiness Foundation. We are confirming your shipment of 1,300.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room,
あんまり
and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
出ないところ
Perhaps he
が
wanted to stop by the
こっち。
employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was grand, majestic, perhaps, but eager to get back to business,
左。
Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so
さら
he
に
detoured through the
左。
maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about
確か
and get even
ミニ
further
ゲーム
off track. So
エリ
now
ア
in
があ
order
っ
to
た
get
気が
back,
す
he
るん
needed
で
to
す
go
よ
on.
ね。
From here, it's Oh no, it's to the right. My mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking?
ちょっ
It's
と早
clearly...
くしてください
Oh
よ。
dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way. No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning.
諦めるな。
Suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top. All of his co-workers were gone.
あれ、
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
こんなルートだったっけ？
Wait, what? No,
あ、
no,
そ
I
うそうだ。
restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something
モニ
change?
ターと天国のが
Stanley,
紐づいて
did
た
you
りすんの
change
かな？
anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you
多
move
分
the
そうですね。
story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
じゃあ、つながってるでしょ。こっちはいつもの。こっちは、行ったことないかも。
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we just need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
もしかして、無限メール
All
か。
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
OK。
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all.
どもども、
Is this the story?
道に迷
I
っ
don't
てい
think
る。
so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley?
道が
Well,
消
you
え
know
た。
what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
私が入りたいのはこのルートじゃないんですけ
This
ど。
time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
前回やった時は、スタンリー、トラブル、ラインだったんですけど、今は別の、エンディングで、スタンリー、になってるんで、ちゃんと、ライン、をね、になってる。細かいですね。
どのフラグが立つのかめんどそう。
You see? The line knows
全部
where
覚
the
えて
story
たらい
is.
いんで
It's
すけど。
over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination?
私が行こう
even if
と
there's
して
no
るミニ
story
ゲ
there?
ーム、
Or to put it
エンデ
another
ィング
way,
は
is the
こ
story
っ
of
ちじゃ
no
ない気がする
destination
な。
still a story?
でも
Simply
行き
by the
ましょ
act
う。
of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
あんまりカメラをぐるぐるすると私が酔っちゃうわ。はい。BGM はいいいぞ。
Cut the music, go back, and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be
Aye.
very important later in the
ノ
story.
リノリかわいい。
Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
OK。
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell? Oh, no, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Restart.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
に向かってるときは、別のエンディングに向かってるときは、天国への道が閉じますね。
Yes, this is exciting.
あれ
Just me
で
and Stanley
そこ
forging
そ
a
こ
new path, a new
判断
story.
できるかも。
What do you want our story to be? Go
終わっ
wild.
た。
Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
進んでる。
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
OK。
Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something
ナレ
happen?
ーターさんが、
So,
ナレーターさんも、
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the
すべて
destination or the journey.
ストーリー
Though
の
they're
上。
always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
ストーリー
All
に
of his
従わない
coworkers
か
were
ら。
gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
とにかく、これで正規ルートに戻りましたね。天国への道が開いてたし。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. And here it was, the lounge. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
確か、ナレーターさんに下がり続ければ、下がり続ければ、逆らい続ければ。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in but in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death.
これで終わりかな。
Stanley. Everyone thinks you are
こ
very
っちなかっ
powerful.
た。こっちじゃなかったわ。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him. When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop
他
by
の
the
ルートに
employee
突
lounge
入
first,
しているか
just
ど
to
うかの
admire
目
it.
安になる。
It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his
すごく
left.
わかりやすいです。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing in your trust in someone else can be difficult,
多
but
分
the
こっ
fact
ち
is
で
that the story
下がり
has been
続
about
ければい
nothing
いん
but
だな。
you all
逆らい
this
続ける。
time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
でもこのルート、
Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself.
選択の大切さについてのムービーを見せられるのがスキップできないから
Your chance to redeem yourself.
長くて嫌なんですよね。
To let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to
取らない。
her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
長所があれば短所もある。
しつこいですね。早く止まっていいよ。これは取らないといけないのかな。取ったら奥さんエンディングにならなかったっけ。ほら。
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven.
ここから続くことはあったっけ。
Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you?
ただいまなの
I'm
だ。
trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside.
早く
Let
帰
me
り
show
な
you
さい
what's
ませ。
really going on here.
帰りなさい。
Sorry, but you're in my story now. This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley. Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his
ちょっ
existence.
と、エンディングについて調べさせてください。
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing
Stanley.
exactly what he's told to do.
トラブル。
Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home.
エンディング。
He's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's
コメン
chosen
ト
this
欄のちっ
life.
ちゃい赤消えるギリギリだね。
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on
調べて
fantastic
出たらいいです
adventures.
ね。
こいつ
From
は
behind
消えない
his
ぞ。
desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
どこだ？
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many
この
possible
豚はもう
paths
いい
and
かな。
destinations.
豚
Down
じゃ
one
ない。
path lay an enormous round room
このル
with
ートは
monitors
もう
and
いいかも。
mind controls.
すごい
Down
長い
another
ん
was
で
a
すよ
yellow
ね。
line that weaved in many directions, and down another was a game with a baby. And he called it
あれ、
the Stanley Parable.
今のお
現実味
話
が、あるよゾラシ。
LINE の話と、ゲームで遊ぶ話が回ってますよね。混ざってた。
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again.
こんな
and then
話は
again,
なかっ
and
た気
again,
がするんです
over
け
and
ど、
over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be?
こういう
Perhaps if he played
細
just
かい
one
とこ
more
ろまで
time.
他のエンディング側から影
But
響
there
が
is
来
no
てる。
answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
こういう
And
の
I'm
があ
trying
る
to
と
tell
一
him
回
that
一回
in this world he
エン
can
ディン
never
グ
be
も
anything but an observer. That as
回
long as he
見たもの
remains
です
here,
わ。
まだ
he's
この
slowly
赤いのが
killing
何かわ
himself.
からない。
変わってる可能性が
He won't stop.
あるわ
Here,
けです
watch
ね。
this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
教えてよゾラ先生。
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself? I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see.
この
Maybe
時
this
間は
time.
あれか。
And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
シンプルにゾクゾクする。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set
不思
of
議な
two
ゲーム
open
です
this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley.
こっちはやったっけ
Really?
って言いなが
I'm
ら
in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others?
ど
Are
う
you
だろ
that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you?
通った場所が
I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you.
ゲー
To
ム
show you something
エンディング
beautiful.
の範囲
Let me prove
ヒ
it.
ルトだっ
Let me
た
prove that
回
I'm
避す
on
る
your
と
side. Give me a chance. Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door. Aha,
ここで
perhaps you
ナ
misunderstood.
レーターに抗
Stanley
い
walked
続ける
through
の
the
が
red door. I still don't think we're
ゲーム
communicating properly.
エンディン
Stanley
グ
walked.
らしい
All
で
right,
す
fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you. You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see?
怒られる
Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. 確か This already
この
feels
ルートを
leaps
や
ahead
る
of
と
where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley.
Stanley
Take it for a spin.
気になるんですよね
Okay, I'm going to stop
今は
you
もう
there.
2だけど
Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here. Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version.
赤ちゃんのゲーム
Perfectly
か
candid, I think I've knocked it out of the
あ
park
れ
with this one.
耳
Let's
が
take a
痛
look.
くなるんですよねちょっと音量下げておきます
Now,
まだ
would
か
you
な
say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please. Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it
Yeah.
up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger.
来たぞ
You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the
こいつ
desperation and tedium
さっ
of
さと
endlessly
失敗させ
confronting
て
the
しまったん
demands
で
of
すけど
family life. I think the art world will really
あまり
take
にもその
notice.
時
But
音
of
が
course,
多く
the
て
message of the game only
耳が
becomes
痛くな
clear
った
once
から
you've been playing it for
や
about
め
4
たんですよ
hours.
ね
So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
いやうるせえ これは一体いつまで続くんだ
精神の鍛錬だよこれは
薄すぎる。
確か4時間だっ
ダメだ。これ、耐えられないかもしれない。4時間。いや、確かに、ナレーターさん、4時間がどうとか言ってましたけど。まさか、でしょ。本当に4時間、休んで、やらせると。うるせえ。悪いな。結
闇
構、
衣夜空になっちゃうよ。
ギリギリまでいける。
Heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was
これ
extremely
本当に4
valuable.
時間やる
Oh,
夜
hey,
とあ
since
る
my
ん
game
で
was
す
so
が。
awful, why don't we play someone else's
やる
game? Just to ease the
夜と
pain. Let's see. What do we
あ
have?
まりにもひどくない。
焼き赤ちゃん。
Yes. This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
それはダメです。
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent...
この歌はもう見たんだ。子守か。
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No.
ちょっ
This
と、
couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself,
ナレ
is
ーター
to
さん。
wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever.
間違えた。
I will be
間
happy.
違えた。
Stanley waited. Hours passed. Then
間違え
days.
て閉めただ
Had
けだよ。
years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive.
カチカチ。
Soon, very
流し
soon
ながら
now,
走
this
る
will
の
end.
楽しいと
He
思っ
will
て
be
るだけ。
spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
これも、エンディングだ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ちょっと、エンディングリストを見るか。これ以外、ちょっと思いつくところはないんですよね。全部やった気がする。他に何かありますか？これやってない気がするってやつ。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
あったら試します。
It was okay.
音が小さい。
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
こっちからスイッチ押せないんか。押せないわ。自分で扉が閉まりやがる。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from
上の
here, it's,
渡たないわ。
left.
上のボタンがない。
Oh, no. No, it's to the right. My mistake. No, 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 not the right. Why would I have...
さっき見た。1階建て。戻ってみるか。タイトルに。これは元に戻せないんでしょうか。戻せなさそうだ。
This is the story. All of his co-workers were gone.
仕方ない調べよう。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ちょっと待ってください。エンディング一覧。ふむふむ。
Stanley stood for a long time in one spot. It's part of a game. He likes to see how long he can go without dying. So far, he's doing excellent. And if he just stays right where he is, I'm sure he'll keep up that good momentum. Let's observe the genius at
びっ
work.
くりした。えっと。赤ちゃんのゲームを4時間やるエンド。これは無理だ。OK。逃げ腰。エンド。まずはちょっと逆らって。 リフ
When
トがある
Stanley
場
came
所
to
ま
a
で行
set
く。
of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. It was okay.
で、
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
リストは起動するけど、起動させるけど、乗らない。
Oh, well, look who's got cold feet. Sorry to break it to you, Stanley, but that lift isn't coming back. You'd best either get comfortable right here on this platform, or test your luck by jumping to the floor below. You know what? Looking at it now, it's not that far to the bottom floor. I bet you can make it. Whoops. Looks like I was wrong. How clumsy of me. Someone was following Stanley.
ちょっと生き残る方法の選択肢を模索したんですけど、ダメでしたね。さて、次の新潟、エンディング。タピスコットエンド。OK。上司の部
When
屋に
Stanley
入る
came
まで
to a
行
set
く。
of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
こちらは正規ルートでしたね。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he'd coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
こっちは大丈夫かな。ねえ。ドアに入ってドアが閉まる前にドアの外に出る。こ
Here's
う
the
いうこ
door.
と。戻れる。去ってしまったのに。こんなバグみたいなことをして。それでも、ルートが、用意されている。すごすぎるだろ。どこまで戻るんだろう。暗いよ。怒られてる気がする。
まるで未来ですね。
760。超高層ミュージアム。 超高層建築って今の人間の技術でも可能なんですけど、高くするということは1階部分にかかる負担はどんどん大きくなってしまうんで、ぐらい脱出できたの。できたエンディングなのかな。できたということでしたか。さて、あとはひたすらリスタートを繰り返して、たまにレアなとこに行くエンド、それを探していきますか。そうそう、超高層建築ねえ、下の方に負担がかかってしまうのはもう仕方ないですよね。上に積み重ねていくわけですから。で、その重さに耐える素材はあるけど、大地の方が持たない。長引く太郎から雑談を始めたのに来てしまったな。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
でなんだ。426のドアを開ける。他のドアはこれは先に進める。
Stanley went around
他の
touching
ドア
every little thing in the
開
office,
かない。
but it didn't make a
ここ
single
だけ開
difference,
くの。
nor did it advance the story
開
in
くわ。
any way.
WELCOME ずーさあ、ホワイトボードエンディングドッグモードがしょうもな。エンディングじゃないじゃん。マウスのカチャカチャ音が犬の声やった。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
私は犬など犬ですぞ。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his
これ
boss's
だけなの
office,
かな。
hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his
何なん
post
だ
during
から。
work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished.
戻ろう。して他のエンディングは ングやった。いや違う。このゲームの起動時のコンソールでコマンドを入力しておいて、ゲーム開始した時に出てくるコマンド、コンソールにさらに G とコマンドを入力する。なんだそりゃ、誰が見つけるんだよ。そんなの見つけようがないじゃん。一番最初に見つけたやつが頭おかしいけど、もしかしてゲーム内にヒントでもあるんだ
Just
ろ
a
う
step
か。
through this door, Stanley thought to himself. That's all I need. If I
結
can
構
make it through this door, I
いろ
can
ん
make
な
it
資
through
料
them
とかあ
all.
りますもんね。
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
窓の音がおかしい。雨の音が。まあいいや。じゃあちょっとやってみましょうか。一回ゲームを落とさないといけませんね。ちょっと待ってください。ちょっと準備いたします。スキームの起動オプション。ここにコマンドを打ち込んで、これで起動する。そうだ、好きな時間を入れていいんだったな。私が一番好きな時間ですが、夜中の3時。そうですね。10分ぐらいがいいかな。外は暗い。もう少ししたら次の日になってしまう。一番人外ない感じの。この時間が好きです。
大間が時。
また起動しないといけなくなっちゃったな。コンソールはどこから出てくんだ。始めればいいのかな。 何も出てこない。オプションのコマンド間違えた。かな。いや、間違えてないけどな。どうするんだろう。ちょっとお待ちください。こうなったら全部見てやる。赤ちゃん、エンディング以外ね。見つからん。エンディングリスト。わからん。パソコンの方で探してみよう。iPhone で探しましたけど。スタンリー、トラブル。 ウルトラデラックスエンディング。見つからない。わからん。仕方ない。一回、ゲーム終了して、起動時の、あのメッセージを、最後まで見てみよう。なんで今さら。遅いでしょ。 洋芸でよくあるやつだ。
ゲームと違うところで難しいゲームだ。
なんだこれ。ああ、いいね。ナイス。スライダー。無駄遣い。大きいボインカル。スクラム。プッシュ。こっちの方がちゃんと言えたな。わかるよ。そうだよ。いいよ。
なんだこの質問。
いいよ。これ何かありますね。全部見よう。ちょっと、ほろ、網がある。ホラーっぽい。言っちゃったよ。そうでもあるし、そうでもない。またね。エピロガー。エピローグ。スキップエンドで見た場所だ。あったかい。ほかほかです。座れないぞ。座らせてください。竜巻。じゃあ。 一人だけど、孤独だけど、私は今、このふと一つになっている。このは、下、この星々と、これはメモリールーム。まだ残っているなんて。発電機も動いてる。どういう原理だ？発電機の電力はどこに置かれている？何に電力を供給しているんだ？これ。めちゃくちゃ酷評されてる。これは太陽の明かりか。電力はこっちだ。続編を出したことで、逆にそれ以上の未来が絶たれてしまった。ジムボタンだ。こんなに量産する必要はあった。こんな不法トークすることに。美しい。わいい。フィギュアの群生地だ。何？どうも。どうもこんばんは。その息はいいですけど。過激派ですね。 3。なんだこりゃ。サブタイトル決めていいの？じゃあ、焼かれた。タコ、タキズ。これや。
たこ焼きってこと。
やろうぜ。原点回帰。またか。くだらねえ。最高だ、このゲーム。これもう一回、エピローグ、言ったら進むんかな。あ、これ、長いやつだ。
あなたが喜んでいてとても嬉しい。
楽しい夢だよ、このゲーム。楽しいゲームです。よし。今日はカレー。じゃこ。いいぐらいにしときましょう。このぐらいにしておきましょう。
楽しい悪夢だよ、このゲーム。
いやー。一応ね。あのバケツ、あったじゃないですか。さっき、ちょっと調べたときに、すべてのエンディングが、バケツで多少のセリフの変化があるらしいで。それを見るのもいいかもしれませんけど。もし気になる方はね。自分で買ってみて、プレイしてみてください。そしてサブタイトルを、自分の好きなやつにしてもいい。こんなゲームなかなかないですよ。ぜひ一度プレイしてみるべきだ。よし、今日は終わり。また。よし。
お強ぞなのです。
このゲームの配信は今日で終わりかな。大満足です。もし今後は一人でやってね。すごい隠し要素を見つけたりしたらまたやるかも。よろしくお願いします。そして配信を見に来てくれてありがとうございました。いろいろうろついながら誘導されたり逆らったり罰を受けたり、ホラーゲームでもある、謎解きゲームでもあるような不思議な体験ができました。おすすめです。ではでは、今日はお疲れ様でした。ちょうど日付も変わりましたし、あんまり夜更かしずにするのですよ。いやー、ではお疲れ様でした。おやすみなさいませ。
メイ、
またね。
ワチング、ヨ、エルデン、RIH。
おやー、なんだい。ご自由にどうぞ。